destroying half the world, and what had he got for it? Extra work. He started work with ill grace, particularly when he discovered that the tutor Jack had found actually taught at Brookland, his own school. Alex wasn't in his class, but even so it was an embarrassment, and he hoped nobody would find out. However, he had to admit that Mr. Gray was good at his job. Charlie Gray was young and easygoing, arriving on a bicycle with a saddlebag crammed with books. He taught humanities, but seemed to know his way round the entire syllabus. "We've got a few weeks," he announced. "That may not seem very much, but you'd be surprised how much you can achieve one-to-one. I'm going to work you 7 hours a day, and on top of that, I'm going to leave you with homework. By the end of the holidays, you'll probably hate me, but at least you'll start the new school year on a more or less even keel." Alex didn't hate Charlie Gray. They worked quietly and quickly, moving through the day from maths to history to science and so on. Every weekend, the teacher left behind exam papers, and gradually Alex saw his percentages improve. And then Mr. Gray sprang his surprise. "You've done really well, Alex. I wasn't going to mention this to you, but how would you like to come with me on the school trip?" "Where are you going?" "Well, last year it was Paris, the year before that was Rome. We look at museums, churches, palaces, that sort of thing. This year we're going to Venice. Do you want to come?" Venice. It had been in Alex's mind all along. Those final minutes on the plane after Damien Cray had died. Yasen Grigorovich had been there, the Russian assassin who had cast a shadow over so much of Alex's life. Yasen had been dying, a bullet lodged in his chest. But just before the end, he managed to blurt out a secret that had been buried for 14 years. Alex's parents had been killed shortly after he was born, and he had been brought up by his father's brother, Ian Ryder. Earlier this year, Ian Ryder had died too, supposedly in a car accident. It had been the shock of Alex's life to discover that his uncle was actually a spy and had been killed on a mission in Cornwall. That was when MI6 had made their appearance. Somehow they had succeeded in sucking Alex into their world, and he had been working for them ever since. Alex knew very little about his mother and father, John and Helen Ryder. In his bedroom he had a photo of them. A watchful, handsome man with close-cut hair, standing with his arm around a pretty, half-smiling woman. He had been in the army, and still looked like a soldier. She had been a nurse, working in radiology. But they were strangers to him. He couldn't remember anything about them. They had died while he was still a baby, in a plane crash. That was what he had been told. Now he knew otherwise. The plane crash had been as much a lie as his uncle's car accident. Yasen Grigorovich had told him the truth on Air Force One. Alex's father had been an assassin, just like Yasen. The two of them had even worked together. John Ryder had once saved Yasen's life. But then his father had been killed by MI6, the very same people who had forced Alex to work for them 3 times, lying to him, manipulating him, and finally dumping him when he was no longer needed. It was almost impossible to believe, but Yasen had offered him a way to find proof. "Go to Venice, find Scorpia, and you will find your destiny." Alex had to know what had happened 14 years ago. Discovering the truth about John Ryder would be the same as finding out about himself, because if his father really had killed people for money, what did that make him? Alex was angry, unhappy, and confused. He had to find Scorpia, whatever it was. Scorpia would tell him what he needed to know. A school trip to Venice couldn't have come at a better time, and Jack didn't stop him from going. In fact, she encouraged him. "It's exactly what you need, Alex. A chance to hang out with your friends and just be an ordinary schoolboy. I'm sure you'll have..."